Hey Gary, how you doing?
All right, Seb, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm very excited about our topic today.
Yeah, my favorite topic, open houses.
Open houses. And our little pre-show banter here, we were talking about, kind of like an outline of what we're going to talk about. And it's, I guess, two things, which is A, how to like get people to come to your open house, and then B is to how to, get buyers actually like, convert, random open house visitors into your actual buyer clients at the open house. And honestly, Gary, if I can be completely honest, part A, how do you drive people to an open house? That has always been kind of a mystery to me. So, you tell me like how you think we can drive buyers to an open house.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. Everybody have their own ways of doing open houses, right? So I think number one to me is to pick a listing, right? So if it's your listing, obviously you want to hold an open house right away, right? When it's a fresh listing. So you're always going to get more people, right? More visitors at that time. And then obviously advertise that open house on social media, mostly social media, And what else can you do? People do some realtor do door knock the neighborhood, right? Invite all those neighbors to the open house. So those could be some potential sellers down the road, right? And the next big thing would be to put up signs, right? Some eye-catching signs, not just generic signs, right? You want to put up at least 50 signs, in my understanding, more signs, more visitors, right? So someone said that one sign equals one visitor, right? So if you have 50 signs, you can have 50 minimum visitors, right? That's what you want, right? Well, what else can you do to bring in more visitors? Maybe you can advertise the open house a day before, put up a sign the night before, put a sign in front of the house, maybe a couple of days in advance, right? What else? Some agents offer raffles, right? They advertise some kind of raffle online on social media to entice more people. Um, that's kind of what I know. I mean, do you have any ideas?
Well, actually, I've tried most of those things which you just outlined there, certainly on the social media, email blasts to my database and to my realtor database, because I have like a realtor database of like 7,000 realtors. So I'll do that. And certainly door knocking the neighborhood, that is a good one actually, but that's really more for finding sellers usually, to invite them to come to the open house, which I'm personally all in favor of having neighbor potential sellers come to the open house. And so I've done most of those things, but one thing that I've never really done is try putting out a lot of signs. If you hear about these like mega open houses, and I know that's one of the strategies that they talk about is putting out a lot of signs, and not just your ordinary signs, right? Like those big like banner type wavy vertical signs, right? And they'll put those in many places to really, catch a lot of eyes. And the other day I heard something really interesting. There's actually companies that will go and they'll put out your signs for you. Because if you had to put 50 signs out, how long is that going to take you? Like 2 hours,
Oh
right?
boy. Oh, yeah, well, at least an hour.
At least an hour, right? I mean, it really
Yeah,
depends. And
yeah.
so, by having somebody else do it, you're obviously going to save yourself a lot of time. And I always think about like, well, if you're putting that many signs out, like how far away from the house you're going to be putting it, right? Obviously, right? So,
You want to go to the main drag, let's say it's a freeway, you want to bring people from many different directions you can, you
right.
know.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that maybe it would be good to like have like a QR code on your sign or something like that, like a big QR code so people could like scan it from their car window or whatever to get the direction to the open house. I mean, that's just an idea that just came to me. But I think that
No, that's great. Yeah.
putting out signs like that and hiring it out. Now, maybe in your area aren't any companies that do that, but you can certainly hire some kid to do that for you. When I say kid, I mean a licensed and insured, driver of appropriate age or whatever, to do that for you. You could probably just go on to, Craigslist or whatever and advertise for that, or Facebook, and just ask some friends, anybody who can put these signs out for me. And it might cost you what? I don't know, couple $100, $100 or whatever, to get that many signs put out and picked up and then brought back to your office or wherever you keep your signs. But that certainly could be a really worthwhile investment.
No, there's people here in my market, yeah, for $100, up and down. They can put up your sign, pick them up, bring them to you. So I think it's worth it, $100. And if you can get 50 leads, you know, that's cheap, right?
Yeah, that's right. That is cheap. And so another thing that I actually have done to drive, so there's one thing that I have done actually, which actually has driven traffic to open houses, and that is I do a taco truck, right? So actually I do a taco truck, and it's not really a truck, it's a cart, right? And it's like from a catering company. I'll do a taco cart, and great tacos, they're delicious tacos. And it costs like $600. And so I'm not doing it for every open house, obviously, but I do a taco cart and then I invite the neighbors. I do like door knock on the neighbors, or I'll drop off like a little invitation to the neighbors. And then I will email out to my database, which actually this is like a 2-for-1 really, because I really do want to spend time with people in my database, right? And so if I have a good, cool listing, and it has to be a listing where you can accommodate a crowd, right? Like you can't really do a taco cart for like a condo on the fourth floor of a building, right? That's not going to work, right? So
Right, right, yeah.
it has to be a situation where you can actually have a lot of people come over. But I'll invite my database. I'll invite other realtors, right? Like I'll tell a bunch of people, hey, we're having free tacos. Come on down. It's a great way to get exposure to the property. It's a great way for me to connect with my database and to show everybody in my database that I go big on open houses, right? Like I don't skimp on the open houses. I'm going to be investing in getting your house sold. And so when a seller sees that oh, he's doing a taco truck, that they're really happy with that too. And it has another great benefit of doing a taco truck is that you get a lot of people there. When you have real buyers come through or their agents come through, they go there like, wow, man, that open house was packed. There's a lot of people who are really interested in the house. And some of them are interested in the house, but a lot of them are just interested in free tacos. But it creates like a lot of buzz and excitement around the property, and that's something that you really want to do. It's good for your image, and it is good for like bringing in a crowd and like meeting people. But even if you can't do like a taco truck because some houses don't lend themselves to it, I do like other stuff. Like I might do like cookies or pie or something like that around the holidays, or maybe just like some chips and soft drinks or whatever, just something, right, to like create a bit of an ambiance and be a good host at the open house. So it might not be as full scale, but I will try and have something there to like entice people to come and check out the open house. Like if I was doing open house on Sunday, what's happening on Sunday, Gary? You know what's happening on Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday's open house day, right?
It's Super Bowl Sunday, man. It's Super Bowl
Oh,
Sunday.
this Sunday. Oh, this Sunday. Yeah, you're talking about this Sunday. Yeah.
If I was going to be doing open house on Super Bowl Sunday, which I'm not going to be
Yeah,
doing
you're
open
probably
house.
not going to get anybody to go to your open house this
Well,
Sunday
you would
then.
want to have it probably before the Super Bowl, right? But you can certainly have
Yeah.
like a pregame show, open house, or whatever. I mean, like you can try and like milk it, right? You can have like some Super Bowl type food. You can have like like whatever. I mean, like here we're Niners people, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Niners
Yeah.
popular. What I come to learn, Gary? I come to learn that everybody in America hates the Niners except people from California. Did you know
Why
that?
is that? Why is that?
I don't know why that is. I don't know why that is. Maybe because the Niners are so awesome. People are like envious of how awesome the Niners are. Could be that. I don't really know. But like I hate the Pats. Like the Pats hate them. Cowboys hate them, right? And maybe that's why people, hate the Niners. I don't really know. But
Well, I don't think it's true. A lot of people like Niners, so some people always hate. There's
what's
always
not to
haters,
like,
right?
right? What's not to like? It's the Niners, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're winning. Hopefully we'll win the Super Bowl.
right. Well, I hope we will. I don't think we're going to. I think this the Chiefs guy, Mahomes or whatever it is, I think he's got it all over Brock Purdy. And I mean, like Brock Purdy is like a great story and all that, but yeah, he's a little sloppy, I would say, like
Yeah, I mean he's young, he's still learning. So,
he is young, but
you
this
know,
last game was a train wreck. Like we like barely squeaked that one out, right? I mean, that was like, you
true,
know,
true. Yeah,
really just a bunch of good
that's
luck. So
true.
we'll see. But I don't have high hopes for the Super Bowl this year. But last few times they've been in it, they've been crushed, right? Including by the Chiefs, right?
True. Yeah,
So
well, it's going to be a good game. As a fan, you got to be optimistic. You got to watch it like they're going to win it. So
it's going to be fun. And anyway, I just watch it for the commercials anyway, right? And I'm excited because
there you go. Yeah.
I'm told, I don't know if it's true or not, that Compass, my brokerage, is going to have a commercial in the Super Bowl this year.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
yeah, that's gonna be exciting. And then I just read that CoStar, you know CoStar, right?
Yeah.
So CoStar, they bought Homes.com, right? So they're trying to like
Yeah.
compete with Zillow. So they're going to have apparently a bunch of Super Bowl commercials, and they say they're going to spend $1 billion on advertising, not around the Super Bowl, but there's going to be a lot of competition for Zillow now from Homes.com, which I'm a Zillow
Yeah.
hater.
No, I heard some great things about homes.com. So they actually are, helping realtors get more listings and leads. So,
That's
a
right.
lot
Well,
different, a lot different than Zillow. Yeah.
Well, for people who don't know, Homes.com, that's their differentiation. They're like, if you have the listing, you get the lead, right? That's what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to get
Yeah.
you, the agent, to pay to promote your listing on Homes.com, but pay or not, if there's an inquiry about your listing on Homes.com, it goes to you, not not some person who's paying to get that information. But Gary, we're going a little off topic here.
I
Uh,
know. I know. Yeah.
so let's just take it back. So that's how I drive traffic is I do those like free food or whatever, that tends to work pretty well. And then the signs, that's a great idea as well. So anything else we can think of before we start talking about what to me is super important, which is like converting people at open house to become your clients? Before we move on to that, any other thoughts about how to drive traffic?
Yeah. So I think, to me, with my experience, number one is signs. Because every time you ask someone, how do you hear about the open house? They always say, "Oh, we just saw your signs."
We just
So
saw your
more
signs.
signs, more visitors. That's just my thing.
That's
I mean,
interesting
you can,
because I ask people how you found out my open house, and they never say signs. But that's probably because I only put out like 3 or 4 signs, right? I mean, like they
yeah,
always say I saw it
yeah,
online, right? But I've never put out that many signs. Like, well, here's a side question though, Gary. Where do you get 50 signs from? I mean, like 50 signs. I mean, do you have to spend thousands of dollars getting signs, or how do you get 50 signs?
absolutely. Each sign's about $50. So you do the math. You know,
Right. So that's
you
like
got
what
to
was
take
that, two
care
and
of
a half
those
thousand
signs.
bucks in signs?
Yeah. Well, it's a one-time investment unless you're moving companies every day.
Right.
So,
Right.
once you have really good signs, you keep them, take care of them,
Right.
and they don't go bad. Those are really, really high quality signs. They don't go bad for a long time
Right.
unless you lose them. You do lose them here and there. People steal them sometimes.
Right.
People get mad. They throw your sign away or something, right?
Well, also they have like signed ordinances, right? Like so some areas have like signed ordinances where you can't just leave a sign out at all, or you can't like put it on like a traffic median, or if you put it on somebody's like street corner which they own or whatever, like it's forfeit or whatever. So yeah, you do have to be careful. You have to know your local signed ordinances and don't just put them anywhere because yeah, they could get boosted. I
Yeah.
guess. So that's a good one, Gary. You know what? I'm gonna see about that. I mean, I only have 6 signs myself, right? I don't have like 50 signs. But
Well,
where
if
I mostly
you can't do 50, do at least 25.
right, right. Okay. Well, that's a good tip. Good pro tip from Gary. Gary knows.
'Cause
All right,
I
so
know
Gary,
some agents do 100 signs.
yeah, right. No, I heard about that. I don't know where you would put 100 signs or even 50 signs. That seems like a lot. So I mean, maybe I'll go on YouTube and find some realtor like talks about how he puts out 50 or 100 signs. But certainly, I'm not going to do it. I would have to hire that out. So now you're spending
Yeah.
some money. But if you're new in business, and you have the get up and go, right? You're a go getter. You could do it, right? If you're young and lots of energy and lots of time because you don't have a lot of clients yet. I mean, you can certainly do it yourself, and you probably should.
Well, yeah. Well, one thing, you can always team up. You can have another agent in your office, or maybe a lender.
No,
Team up
there you
with a
go.
lender.
Yeah, yeah.
They can
Team
help
up.
you.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
You don't have to do it alone, and go ahead and share the lead. You're getting a bunch of leads.
Right. Yeah.
You
Share
know,
the leads.
you put up 5 sign, you may get one lead, right? If
Right.
you're putting up 50 sign, you're getting more than 50 leads, and there's enough to share.
Right. All right. Cool deal. Cool deal. All right. So, but now the part that really interests me is converting the people who come to your open house to become your buyer client. Now, we're not going to talk about seller clients right now. We're talking buyers here. So, okay. So,
Yeah.
Gary, there you are. You're doing an open house and you got 50 parties come through. How do you get these people to decide to work with you? What's the magic that you use to get them to become your clients?
Yeah, so I think that's another great challenge now. You got that many people coming through the door, right? It's hard to keep track of them, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing will be to greet them at the door, right? Don't let them get past the door, right? Until you get to know them, right? Ask them if they have a realtor. ask them if they already have a lender, right? And if they already tell you, hey, oh, my Joe's my realtor, whatever, and then you probably want to pay less attention, right? But if they tell you, "Oh, I don't have a realtor, right? I don't have a lender," and you want to make sure you collect that information. Me personally, I don't want everybody's phone number, email. I just want the ones that I think that don't have a realtor, right? So, once they walk in and you can try to collect that information and then let them walk through the home, and then I always ask for the feedback at the end, right? Hey, my seller asked me to ask for feedback, so that may open up more questions, right?
So, do you literally stand at the front door? I mean, if you're getting 50 people through in 3 hours, that means you're getting almost 20 parties through. Like we say people, we mean parties, right? Because usually
Yeah.
there's two or three, four people in a party, right? So you're standing right there by the front door. Are you standing or are you sitting or like what are you doing? I mean, like you have like a red
Well,
velvet rope across the front door, or how are you,
no,
you
no,
know?
no. I mean, none of that. I mean, just greet them at the front door, and just make sure anybody walking in, you get to know them. Find out, ask them their name, a couple questions, ask them if they have a realtor or lender. I always ask them, "Who's your realtor?" Don't ask them if they have a realtor. Ask them, "Man, who's your realtor?"
Right,
If they don't have one, then they don't have one. They won't say it, right?
right.
But if
So,
they say, "Oh, Seb's my realtor," okay, well then, just leave it alone. Then let them
right.
walk through the home.
Yeah, definitely. If they say Seb's your realtor, you just want to say, want to step back and be like, okay, I'm not going to mess with you. So,
Yeah.
do you do like a sign-in sheet or anything like that?
Yeah, there is a sign-in sheet, but it's tough to get everybody to sign up, right? So me personally, I try to figure it out if they have a realtor or not. If they don't have a realtor, I'm definitely wanna collect their information, right? You can ask them their name at least first, make that note, right? And then try to ask for their email address. Hey, can I send you more information? Email address. And then, by the way, what's your phone number just in case your email doesn't go through, right?
Right. Just in case we get disconnected when I email
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, just in case, emails bounce, so I can call you and ask you for the email or whatever, right? So I think, there's no right or way, you try to get that information, any way you can, right?
So you do
Uh,
actually, so you have like do you have like an iPad or do you have like a piece of paper or like how do you try to get them to sign in?
yeah, I just do a piece of paper. I don't like iPad, but I know a lot of realtors have those iPads, but I don't know how much success they have with those.
Right.
Um, yeah, I think
So
me personally, I want to write it down myself.
do you like fill it out for them or do you hand them a clipboard or like
Yeah, no, no, I like to fill it out myself. I want to ask them, first of all, as they walk in, I, I'll ask them their name. Anybody who walks in, I ask them their name. So I'll
right,
make a note of it.
right,
Then after that, I want to know if they have a realtor or not. And if they don't have a realtor, then I would ask the next question, their email, phone number, all that, right?
right.
So if they have a realtor already, I just make the note on their name, they have a realtor already.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, some people say to the people who come to the door, my seller insists on me getting, the seller wants to know everybody who comes through their house. So, unfortunately, or whatever, like you need to give me your name, email address, and phone number in order for me to let you into the house. What do you think of doing that? Do you think that's a good thing to say, or like a bad thing to say, or indifferent?
Well, I think if it works for you, me personally, I don't want to I don't want to blame it on the seller or anything. I want their contact information for myself, right? They know that. Those people that just come to your open house, they already been to five other open houses, right? Every realtor does the same thing, right? So they already know that. So what I'm looking for is a connection. You
Right.
can feel the connection or not. The ones you connect with, you want to make sure you get their information and everything you want to get back to them, right? So it's about
Right.
personal connection. Some people connect with you right away as they walk in, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever
Well,
reason, I don't know why.
Well, that's very interesting that you mentioned about the personal connection. But I just want to say one thing about that tactic about saying the seller tells me that I need to get everyone's email address and phone number to come into the house. My feeling about that is that that had better be a true statement, right? Like you better have talked to the seller and seen that they do in fact want you to do that. I mean, maybe you could suggest that if you want to, but first of all, like you're a realtor, you're right. You have a duty to adhere to the code of ethics, and that means you have to be fair and honest you can't deceive anybody. So you can't, for me, like even those small little white lies, that's not okay, right? Like if you're lying to somebody about the reason why you want them to sign in to the open house, to me, that is unethical. So if you're going to say anything like that, you better should have talked to the seller first and explain to them that you want that this is how you want to handle it, and that is what that how they want it handled. And maybe they say no. Maybe the seller says no. I don't care about that. I don't want that. I feel that like if you're going to be turning people away from my open house because they're not going to register, I don't want you to do that, right? So you definitely, if you're going to say that, definitely have that be true and have that conversation with the seller before you do that. So, okay, so you mentioned something very important there. You said you want to have like a personal connection with people. So what kind of things do you do to like build a personal connection with the people who come through? Because if you're having like 50 people, it's like a madhouse,
Yeah,
right? Like how are you forming a personal connection, when all that's going on?
right. But I mean, like I said, you're not going to go after everybody, right? So you feel them as they walk through the door, right? So out of the 50, you might find 10 people that connect with you, right? So, they if they're asking you more questions, right? They seem like you're interested. You figured out, they need to move soon or whatever, right? And they're interested in asking you more questions, and you want to make sure you answer those questions, right? So I think that's just not a one thing that that you can say. I mean, there's multiple questions, right? You want to ask them at that. I mean, sometimes you don't have time, but you may ask them later, right? So the best thing is to get their information. You want to contact them after the open house, right?
Yeah, and I think that's probably where a lot of realtors go wrong, myself certainly included, because I don't really try to get buyers personally at open houses, although it does happen, and I have a great technique for doing that. But the reason why I don't really get buyers at an open house is because A, I personally am looking for sellers at an open house, which we can talk about that on another episode.
Yeah,
But the other reason why is because I don't do the important thing, which you just said, which is talk to them later, right? Like I might
yeah,
get their information and I'll just dump it onto my beautiful automated CRM thing. I'll try to find out if they actually do have a house to sell. I'll check property records and do all the voodoo that I do to see if they actually own a home.
yeah,
But then it's really, I just dump it in there and I don't follow up. So I think you taught that's very important. Build rapport with them, get them to like you a little bit, and then like follow up. So how do you follow up with these people? Like, what do you do? Do you call them that same day, the next day, next week? How does that follow up look like for you?
yeah. So you got to call them right after the open house
The
because
same
they've been
day,
to so many open houses and nobody called them.
right? So you call them the
I
same day.
guarantee. I guarantee you, most realtors don't even call them for 2, 3 days. Let's say
Well, that would be
open house
me.
is Sunday, they may not even get back to the office till Wednesday, right?
Right,
And
right.
but if you call them right away, right after the open house, you finish your open house, put your sign away, and get on the phone.
Get on the phone and call them right
Hey,
away
thank
is
you for yeah,
interesting. Because like for me, like, okay, so I've been working for like 29 days in a row, right? Because I'm a realtor, I work 7 days a week, right? I just did the open house. Maybe it was busy. Maybe there were 50 people there. Maybe my throat is raw and scratchy. Maybe I'm an old guy like myself. Maybe I'm tired. But you're saying like dig deep, rah, go ahead and like just
yeah,
pick up the
yeah.
phone and make those calls.
Go drink some Red Bull or something. you gotta you gotta get on the phone right away, and talk to those people.
So what,
And
what do you
maybe you
say? What
want
do you say? You call them up. It's like an hour after the open house. Hey Bob, this is Gary. I saw you at the open house, and then what do you say?
Yeah, hey, thank you for visiting our open house. And I wanted to talk more about your home buying needs. You mentioned that you need to buy a home in the next 30 days or whatever, right? And I want to find out more about your needs, and I want to see how I can help you. And your goal is obviously to set appointment with them at the office, at your office. That's your goal,
Right.
right?
Yeah. That's so
Yeah,
that's your goal. Well, actually, that's a
yeah,
very important thing you mentioned that really because like I have learned that the point of every conversation you have with somebody should be either one of two things. Ideally, it would be to set a time for an appointment, right? That's either
hmm,
number one thing you should be always be trying for, or number two, if you can't set an appointment, when's the next time that we're going to talk and what are we going to talk about, right? So like
yeah,
that's it's either one of those two things needs to be the result of every conversation that you have with a prospect. Okay, so there you go. You call them up an hour after the open house and you say, just following up, you said you wanted to buy a house within 30 days, which would be amazing. And then you try to get them to come into your office. Do you tell them anything like why they need to come into your office? Like what's in it for them to come into your office, into your layer, as it were?
Yeah, let's meet at the office and we can lay out a plan for you to step-by-step plan for you to buy that home that you really wanted, you know. Who knows, they may have a home to sell, right? Maybe they don't tell you at first, right?
Right.
So you want to figure all that out and basically, face-to-face appointment. If they're serious, they already like you, they won't say no to that,
Right. That's right. If they're
you know.
serious and they already like you, they won't say no to
Yeah.
that. So just
Yeah.
curious, how often would they say no? Let's just say you had 10 people that you after open house you're going to call up. What percent of those people you think would on average, be open to meeting with you at your office?
I think you're probably gonna get 3 appointments out of 10.
3 appointments out of 10. Well, that's pretty
Yeah.
good. And I think that a lot of people in the real estate business or when they just get into the real estate business, they have the idea that like every lead is going to like be, worth something. And the reality is that they are all worth something, but usually they're just worth getting you to the statistical number that you need to hit before you find the one that actually is going to convert business, right? So people put too much expectation on any one lead. I find that you really want to have no expectations of the lead. You just want to
Yeah.
do the actions that are required to get somebody who is, in fact, a good lead into your office and taking those next steps.
Yeah. Open house leads are just like leads, most leads convert at about 1 to 3%, right?
Right,
No matter what lead, right?
right,
So open house leads the same, I mean, if you're lucky, you convert 3%, even you convert 2%, that's great, right?
right. Well, I mean, like, because the payday is pretty big, right? And so if you're consistent about it, if you do enough of it, you can build a career out of it. So I want to share with you my technique, if I could,
Yeah, go for it.
my sloppy casual, way that I go about open houses. Because, like I say, I'm not really looking for buyers, although I do pick up buyers sort of by accident at the open house, and that is that. When they come in the door, I greet them at the door, which I think is very important. Like you don't want to just be chilling out on the couch or whatever. If you hear somebody coming, you get up and you go to the door and
Yeah.
then you greet them, right? I mean, like you don't have to stand there all the time, but when they come, you get up, you greet them, and you say, "Hey, thank you so much for coming," and try and be warm and genuine, right? Don't be fake, right? But just trying to be
Yep.
warm and
Yep.
genuine, to be yourself. Say, "Hey, thank you so much for coming. Could you do me one favor?" And then they'll say, "What?" And then you'll say, before you leave, could you come talk to me? Because I just have one really quick question for you, right? And then you just let them go, right? Don't hover around them. Don't try and smother them. Be around. If they have a question, they can come and ask you, right? Be available, right? Be attentive. Don't be like reading a website or your phone or whatever, right? Be available. And then before they leave, a lot of the times, because you have asked them to do you a favor, right? They feel in some way obligated because you've asked for a favor, right? They come to you and they say, they're not going to say, well, we're about to leave, what's the favor? But they will come to you and you will say, well, hey, before we go, I just had that one question that, if you could just tell me this, and they'll say, okay, sure. And the question is a magic question, and that is, could you see yourself living here? That's the question. Could you see yourself living here? And from there, that is not really a yes or no question, really. Like it is actually a yes or no question, but the answer is not going to be a yes or no answer. They're going to say, well, yes, but, or no, but, right? They're going to give me some more information. And if they say like, no, it's not for us, the next follow-up question, which is very natural, would be like, what would you need to see here at this house in order for you to like want to make an offer on it? And then that will get them talking too about what their needs, what they're looking for, what their price point is. You're learning stuff about them, but you're also at the same time learning very valuable information to take back to your seller, right? To actually give them the feedback that they want to need. Here's a person who said they came to the open house, they thought about it, they didn't want to write an offer on it, and here is why. So you're doing two things. You're doing a good job for your seller, which is also very, very important, and you're learning about the customer. And then that is how you're going to be able to build rapport with them. And if it seems like that is somebody who you really are going to have a good relationship with, and during the course of that conversation, you could say, "Hey, do you have a realtor?" Figure out if that's somebody that you're going to want to work with. Then you can, offer to follow up with them and do that call. And one other thing that I do at the open house, which is actually one thing that you mentioned in your, how do you get traffic, is that I do the Amazon gift card contest, right? So like instead of asking people to register, I have like a big blow up, like a foam board that I have like set up somewhere. And I'll also have that on like little plexiglass flyers. And it'll be like, hey, You scan this QR code, you enter your information, and you tell me what you think the final sale price of the house is going to be at close of escrow. And whoever gets as closest to it is going to win an Amazon gift card. So that's one way that I can get their contact information very easily, really, because I mean, people are going to give you real contact information if they think there's something in it for them, like $100 Amazon gift card. So that is one way that I'll get their contact information. And if they've already entered the contest, I can ask them at that time, hey, did you enter the contest? I have your information already. Just tell me your name again, and then I'll follow up with you later on after that. But I'm really impressed, Gary, man. It sounds like you're the master at open houses.
Yeah, I've done a few open houses in my lifetime, so it's a great way to pick up customers, man. If you don't have anything else going, and some realtors just do open houses, they don't do anything else.
Yeah, and some
So
realtors do open houses like one a day, two a day, right? Every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They do it at times when there's people coming by or whatever, because these days people are working all times, day or night. They're not only off on the weekends, maybe they're never off on the weekends. So it is a really great mechanism. And you know what? It doesn't really cost hardly anything. It can cost absolutely zero, just cost for gas to get there. You can borrow open
no,
house
yeah,
signs from people in your office. Maybe the listing agent has a lot of open house signs they can let you borrow, right? So it doesn't really have to be expensive at all. And I think what really matters
absolutely.
is, the follow up after the open house. That's where the fortune is.
That's true. And also, if you have a listing, close by a school or something where there's a lot of traffic, you can always do open house every day. It's free
Right,
traffic, right?
right. At pickup or drop off. That's a
Yeah,
brilliant,
yeah,
that's a brilliant idea.
yeah,
Right on,
yeah,
Gary. Listen, this is fantastic. I learned a whole bunch, but we're basically out of time here. So I think that's it for this one, and we'll do
Y-
this again next week. What do you say?
yeah, yeah. And I think I forgot that we do have an open house script that we can maybe attach it to a description below or something.
Oh,
People
great.
can use.
Okay,
Yeah,
right. So look at the show notes for this, and we'll have a Gary script for doing open houses. All right.
yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Right on, Gary.
All
Thanks so
right.
much, man.
Well,
We'll see you next week.
okay. See you.
All
Bye.
right. Bye bye.